What's going on, everyone? It's been a while since I've done a beer review, but that's okay because I know you're gonna welcome me back. Everybody needs a break. Life is a little bit busy right now, but here I am. And truth be told, I haven't really been drinking much new beer. I've really just been drinking the same beer that I normally drink, and those don't really require reviews. But Sam and I went to Woodman's. They've got all the beer there, so here I am. So this beer is boom right there. It's called Fantastic Imperial IPA. It's actually, I think it's called Fantastic Haze Imperial IPA. Either way, it's an Imperial IPA. We're gonna go with the fact that the name is called Fantastic Haze. We'll get it in there. This guy is brewed by Sierra Nevada. A lot of people know Sierra Nevada. I originally got introduced to Sierra Nevada through their pale ale, which comes in the big green box. Everybody knows it. Another one might be their torpedo something. I think it might just be torpedo. But anyways, this is Sierra Nevada Fantastic Haze Imperial IPA. Hazy IPAs are, give you another view here. Hazy IPAs are really, really popular right now. Milkshake IPAs are also equally as popular, but I think they came out like hazy, or these kind of milkshake IPAs have been out for maybe, I started seeing them maybe about a year and a half ago. So I would say last year is when they got really popular, but this year I think a lot of focus has been on hazy IPAs. And from my understanding, hazy IPAs just basically mean that they're unfiltered. So that's what makes them hazy. They usually will have, so like if it's in a bottle, there's usually some kind of sediment in the bottom, but I haven't really noticed that in the can. So as far as what that means, besides the color of it, you can see it's a bit more cloudy in color. Speaking of this glass, just a shout out to Aunt Patsy. This is really cool glass. See how it's got the bottle inside, so when I touch it, it doesn't get warm. Genius. But anyways, notice how it's very, very cloudy inside of there, and that's where the hazy part would come from. I've also noticed that hazy IPAs are really easy drinkers for people that don't typically like IPAs. They're not as bitter. You really get kind of a little bit of the bitterness in the second tongue, and by that I mean when it first hits you, you actually are going to taste a little bit of sweeter undertones depending on which one that you're drinking. But this one kind of has a little bit of sweetness to it at first, and then when you knock it back, the back of your tongue is actually going to get a little bit of that bitterness there. Again, it's not bitterness like what we're typically used to with IPAs. And all that bitterness generally comes from the hops. If you're not familiar, funny story, IPAs were made by accident because hops are a natural preservative. And they used to bring beer from India over to England, and you had to keep it fresh. So they just put bunch more hops in there to keep it preserved, and when they tried it, turned out they really, really liked it. Boom, IPAs. That's why there's a difference between pale ales and Indian pale ales. But anyways, like I said, it's not as bitter, a little bit sweet. The body is, I want to say it's medium bodied, and I say that with a bit of skepticism because, or maybe hesitation rather, because with the medium body beer, it kind of coats your tongue a little bit more. You can kind of feel it as it goes down. This is actually going to be a really, really, really clean finish. Finishes with a little bit of a lingering taste, but as far as what you're going to feel in your tongue, it doesn't really hang out too much. So that's really going to tell you about the flavor of the beer. Let's get down to what we all care about. How boozy is the beer? This is, again, an Imperial IPA. And usually if you see Imperial on any kind of beer, you can just kind of expect it to be boozier than its less Imperial counterpart would be. So for instance, if you see an IPA, generally, let's say it could be like 6%. If it's going to be an Imperial IPA of that same beer, it's probably going to end up being somewhere from 9 to 10%. So this is not an exception to that rule. I believe that Sierra Nevada's typical pale ale is somewhere between 5 or 6. Again, this is going to be the hazy Imperial IPA. So I haven't actually seen Sierra Nevada's normal, just like general hazy IPA, so I can't tell you how boozy that is, but I can tell you that this one is coming in at 9% ABV right there. We got a 6-pack from Woodman's in Oak Creek. and I think it was 10.50. So that's not a bad deal at all, considering that most craft beer is going to fall somewhere between $8.99 to $12, depending on the ABV and the brewery as well. But Sierra Nevada is domestic, and their price point from just a general approach from a normal range isn't very expensive at all. So coming in at $10.49 for 6 cans, which is really important because a lot of breweries, when it comes to Imperial IPAs, Imperial beers, or anything that's generally going to be more boozy, will take you down to 4 cans for $10.49. So I wouldn't be afraid of the price. If I had to give this, let's say, I should probably figure out a general rating system here. So let's say we'll put it on hops, 1 to 5. I think I'd give this a solid, let's see. I'm not gonna lie. I honestly do give this a 5 out of 5. It's a really, really good drinker. For something that's coming in at 9%, honestly, if you gave this to someone, they would not know that it's 9%, which is saying a lot. Because like I said, Imperial IPAs, things that have a little bit more booze to them, especially with this one being hazy, they tend to be a bit more malty, a bit thicker as far as that malt or that viscosity is going to be concerned. They kind of linger a little bit more. And you also sometimes can taste the booze in a lot of your alcohol or a lot of your beers, which is why sometimes you have session IPAs, because those are lighter in alcohol content, and they're also really, really easy to drink. Session IPA, when the session thing comes in, that means that you can drink it and maybe one night. It's just you and your friends hanging out. Session, drink it for hours, boom. Most boozy beers aren't going to be that way, but this one, I think a cool 6-pack, you could probably share it with a friend. I know that Sam and I could finish this in one evening with our eyes closed, but we're not going to tonight. So once again, Sierra Nevada Fantasy Haze Imperial IPA.